Hi girls! So today we're going to go over 7th grade English week 1, activity 4.3, which is called Analyzing a Comedic Monologue. Our learning targets for this activity are to evaluate the ideas, structure, and use of language in a comedic monologue performance, evaluate a comedic monologue and create a humorous effect in a written response, and to write a comedic monologue with effective ideas, structure, and language. Alright? And the learning strategies we're going to use are word map, note-taking, quick write, discussion groups, graphic organizers, and drafting. Right? So, let's get started. To begin with, the oral tradition. Sharing information and stories begins with oral communication, which is basically talking. The oral tradition of telling and listening to stories is an ancient art form that has a modern expression in drama. Actors, though, are not the only people who communicate orally. The art of expressing yourself orally is probably one of the most important communication skills you can master. So take a second and look to the side where it says literary terms. Literary terms. A monologue is a speech or written expression of thoughts by a character and is always written from the first person point of view. Something they're not mentioning about a monologue is it's usually a lengthy speech by a single person within some kind of a play or movie. Alright? So, quick write. Think about speeches or dialogue by characters you may have seen on television or in a movie. What made them catch your attention? What was interesting or memorable about them? Okay, so this could have been any kind of political speech like the president. This could have been in a movie. This could have been whatever you might have seen on television or in a movie about somebody making some kind of a speech or having some kind of lengthy dialogue, okay? And think about what was interesting or memorable about them and that caught your attention and write it here. Don't forget to use our tool, typewriter, in order to click and start typing directly on the document. Over here, we have another academic vocabulary word, structure. It says, structure refers to the arrangement of the parts of something. In this usage, structure is a noun. In its verb form, to structure something is to build or construct or arrange in a definite pattern or organization. So here it says performance is a way of honing your ability to communicate with others by making physical and vocal choices in order to convey a certain idea, feeling, or tone. Tone, which you studied in last unit, is a writer's or speaker's attitude toward a subject. Alright, so that's something you might want to remember, is that tone is the speaker or writer's attitude toward the subject. I'm going to highlight that. So, as you discovered in the previous activity, oral interpretation involves understanding a literary text and then using your voice, volume, rate, and inflection to best convey its meaning. Another type of oral performance is a monologue. A monologue is an extended speech written from the first person point of view in which a performer presents his or her or a character's thoughts on a subject. Monologues have a certain structure, a beginning that hooks the reader, a middle that sequences and develops ideas, and an end that offers a conclusion. Content is tailored to the purpose and audience. Because monologues are written to be performed, they sometimes contain stage directions, which are the italicized instructions for physical and or oral delivery in parentheses, and lines or paragraph numbers. Monologues can be humorous or dramatic, as you will see. So here on the side, it explains that the word monologue comes from the Greek word monos, meaning one, and logos, meaning words, speech, or reason. Okay? So here are some other words that contain mono. Monorail, monogamy, monochromatic. So here it says create a word map in your reader, writer notebook or monologue. Record and share what you already know and what you learned during class. As your understanding deepens throughout the unit, continue to take notes and organize information and examples related to this form of writing. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our word map right here about monologue. We're going to, and you can just create, go back to comment, you can add lines, develop your word map right here, all right? Just add whatever you already know, what your thoughts are about a monologue. And going forward in this activity, you might want to revisit it and add more things. So we're going to look at another quick write. Number 3 says, when you think of Halloween, what images, memories, and or feelings come to mind? Can you remember your worst or best Halloween? If so, what made it so awful or so fun? Well, I don't know about you guys, but I had a Halloween one time when I was really little where a man chased me with a chainsaw, and I was so scared that I tripped over in the grass and spilled my candy everywhere and started crying. So that could be my example of a Halloween that comes to mind. But for you, it could be anything. So go ahead and do your quick write about your Halloween experience, and then we will continue. So here it says that I'm going to show you a video clip of a comedic performance. So that's not true. I'm not going to do that. We're going to skip that. Partially because you and I have different ideas of comedy, most likely, depending on who you are. So we're going to skip that one. The next one says, as you discuss the audience and purpose in class. Okay, so we're going to continue. We're going to skip that one too, since that also goes along with finding a comedy and showing you. Okay, so this is also part of that. Okay, so we're skipping all of that. We're going on to the part that says language and writer's craft, dangling and misplaced modifiers, okay? So a modifier is a word, phrase, or clause that describes, clarifies, or gives more detail about a concept in the sentence. In this example, the opening phrase that modifies or describes Halloween. With its festive air, costumes, and candy, Halloween is an exciting time. So this line right here with its festive air, costumes, and candy, all describes Halloween, okay? So then a dangling modifier occurs when the modifier has nothing to describe, clarify, or give meaning to. Eagerly awaiting Halloween, my costume hung in the closet. So the reason this is kind of weird is because eagerly awaiting Halloween in this position would be describing your costume, but your costume can't eagerly await Halloween because it doesn't have a brain. So to fix a dangling modifier, you have to revise the sentence to make it so that the modifier is describing what it is that it's describing. In this sentence, the modifier is talking about the subject of the sentence. So you would say, eagerly awaiting Halloween, I hung my costume in the closet, okay? That way, it shows that eagerly awaiting Halloween describes I. Now, a misplaced modifier is one that is placed too far away from the word or phrase it modifies, and that can cause confusion and result in some silly sentences. In the following sentence, it seems like the writer's parents are actually from the store, not the costume. After many years of begging, my parents from the store bought me a costume. So it sounds like the parents are from the store. Obviously, that doesn't make any sense, so it needs to be revised. You need to make sure that the word or phrase to which the modifier refers is named in the sentence, and you need to make sure that it's close to the word or phrase it modifies. So if you change the above example, you would have, after many years of my begging, my parents bought me a costume from the store. So now you have from the store closest to the word it describes, which is costume. Here in practice, it says, review your monologue evaluation. We're not doing that because we didn't evaluate monologues, okay? So, consider how a comedic performance relies on 3 elements: ideas, structure, and language to create humor. Then revisit your monologue word map and add another layer of information and examples about successful monologues. Okay, so I don't know if you want to go back and add anything. Just make your word map as full as you can. So here, the final thing to do for this week is to draft an original narrative monologue about a real or imagined comic holiday experience, okay? Be sure to, 1, use narrative techniques to tell the story and create interest. 2, follow the monologue structure, logically sequencing the events. And 3, use specific language to communicate a humorous tone. 4, guide the oral interpretation by noting where specific movements, facial expressions, or voice inflection should be used. So that's kind of like how we did with the poetry in Activity 4.2, okay? So this should be a separate document than this document. There is not enough room for you to write your entire monologue, your entire story that you're going to write. So I will create a second upload spot for your narrative monologue so that you'll have the opportunity to upload that in that spot. So I believe that's everything for this week. If you have any questions about any of these activities, once again, feel free to contact me. I'm glad to answer anything that you want to know. And I hope you have a great day. Take care.